get acquainted with yourself and do not be afraid to show that. So be yourself and really enjoy it. More than anything, just enjoy. Read, be inquisitive, find out about the things you like the most, and then those are the things I think you can use as tools to be a better actor, to keep learning, to keep moving forward as an artist.
The most important piece of advice, I think, and the most important piece of advice I got when I was young starting out was that if you're going to go into the theater, you've got to put your wallflower self away and you've got to learn to be gregarious and over the top, because what's normal and polite in the rest of the world will get you, you'll be just overlooked in the theater.
Do good work and be kind. And I thought that was really spot on. You know, if you kind of keep to those couple of things, then people will, you know, pass on your name and want to work with you again, and if you do the good work.
You know, I think it's about loving what you do to the point that you can't do anything else. You know, I think it takes such hard work to excel at what it is that we do in our craft. It takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of perseverance, it takes a lot of people skills, it takes a lot of memorization skills. You know, you constantly have to put your best self forward at all times and treat people around you with kindness, keep working, don't coast. You know, it takes a lot of work, and I think a lot of effort is really required to do what it is that we do.
What I would have done had God not opened those doors for me, but what I would have done is found a really great acting class workshop that had a very legitimate showcase, because you could be the most talented person in the world, but if no one ever sees your talent, then I don't know what you do. Whether you're in New York or LA, I know that, you know, really good acting workshops with great instructors and that are very vetted, so your scene partners in these are really good, and that, you know, once a month or whenever you have a showcase and they bring in legitimate casting directors or whomever, so then they can at least go, oh wow, yeah, you found somebody, there's some talent there.
Never stop learning and never put yourself in a box, because as soon as you put yourself in a box, you're limiting yourself from so many different opportunities.
And so knowing what makes me me, man, you have to know what makes you you. I always say, like, some of the biggest stars, Roseanne Barr, you know, Seinfeld, Martin Lawrence, they're quirky, interesting people who had TV shows because they were quirky and interesting. And I say, if you're in a conservatory or if you're going to a school, you're training, for all the training that they neutralize your individuality out, know how to grab it and bring it right back, because that's what makes you a star, your individuality.
You know, some of the greatest learning lessons of my life was actually doing ensemble on Broadway. I was looking to my left and right with people who, you know, are septuple threats, and if you just quiet yourself and listen, you can learn. And it was from those that I learned how to behave, how not to behave, because your group, like, it's hard when you're in a, like, imagine walking down a sidewalk in New York City in, like, the height of rush hour. Sometimes in an ensemble on Broadway, you're just a lot of people in a small space, and you really have to learn how to keep your ego at the door and just try to be a nice person and do your job and do it well. I think that no one knows you better than you. And sometimes a no is a complete sentence. And I know that I've turned down things that people think I'm nuts for doing, or why wouldn't you want to do that? It's like, because I know me better than anyone. And I think my advice would be trust your gut. And if you think you should say yes to everything, then that's your gut answer. And if you don't think that, that's something you have to listen to. So listen to yourself. No one knows you better than you.
I think that it's important to educate yourself about the creative team involved, and also to really educate yourself about what it is that you're auditioning for as much as you can. But at times you don't really know what the project is. You get a brief breakdown. So if anything, educate yourself about the director you're auditioning for.
If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. And belief in yourself doesn't mean ego and telling everybody how great you are. No one cares whether you did Hamlet in the Kansas City Rep and you got great reviews. No one cares. Because everyone who's done Hamlet is here or has been here for a year or two. So you're outnumbered. Everybody's good here. Not everybody, but the good people are really here. So you gotta believe in yourself, and then you gotta pick up people who are good, who also believe in you, one at a time. You have to have this thing in you that goes, I want this more than anything. And it will separate you from those who want it to come to them. Robert Preston said this. He said, it's being in the right place at the right time, but then you have to deliver. And you're going to get your 2 minutes. And it may be the first week you're in New York or the 8th year you're in New York. But one day you're going to sit there and they're going to go ahead, read this scene. And it's a scene with a casting director reading the part of Shirley MacLaine in terms of endearment, and you're playing a guy named Flap. That's your 2 minutes. And you got to hit it.
Oh, just put one foot in front of the next and just hang on tight to your friends and to your mates and dig in. Just dig in and try to have a good time and roll with it. Get on the wave of it all.
You know, I think if you, I said this when we spoke in our interview, but if you love this thing, it will love you back eventually. But you put enough hard work, you put enough love into this profession, into this trade, it will love you back.
Really put the work in and get your face out there and go to those auditions that you read about. Repeatedly, people start to notice you, and that's what happened with me. Like, I went to a bunch of auditions, and then I waited 8 hours for an equity audition for Fame at North Shore, and then didn't get seen, and then the next day came back and waited 6 hours, and then got in at the end of the day and got the job and got my equity card. But it is like, if you really read Backstage and go to the auditions, you can make it happen. You don't need an agent when you're first starting out. And that's because of Backstage. Like, that's why you don't need an agent. That's like a huge cost-saving measure.
For the musical theater, don't just concentrate on your singing and your dancing. Make sure that you have like a really good foundation for your acting. And I would also say, in this world of loud screaming belts, don't neglect your upper process, because there are still roles out there for sopranos. You are not alone, sopranos.
I think the best advice I could give is to throw yourself passionately into whatever you're doing. You know, it's interesting. I've been lucky enough to do projects that I've fallen in love with, and had, like, She Loves Me as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to reinvent this musical from the golden age, and that never would have come if I had been thinking strategically about what do I want to do next.
You know, seek, read, you know, watch television, watch movies, read books, look at magazines, absorb. I mean, it's why Backstage is so important. It's like, if you just like look and try and absorb everything that's going on, what we do in theater is make life but bigger. And so my advice is always just like, seek for knowledge, because what we have to do is put life scenarios on stage. So I try and like take in all those street corner sets and, you know, scenarios.
For everybody who's out there, just don't stop. Keep telling the stories. Keep wanting to come out and be a part of a cast. Write the stories. Build a set. Just please, because we need you.
I would say go see as much theater as you possibly can. Go see work in previews. I remember when I first moved to New York, Merrily We Roll Along was in previews. I went to see it 6 times just to study how it was changing and growing. I think the thing you can do. At one point, I was an actor apprentice at Williamstown, and being there and just seeing the shows being built, whether they worked or not. As much as you can just witness and watch material being made, grow, learn from the mistakes. That I think seeing as much material as you possibly can.
Tell the truth and let them see you. That's what they're there. That's what they're there for. They're there to see you. They're there to see your humanity, your vulnerability, your strength, your fragility, your ferocity. They're there to see you. Be a human being.
And also do as much theater as you possibly can. If you're growing up, if you're a kid, theater.